Hey everyone, it's me Nuke again with another Nuke stream. I have a special guest today, but before we start, you guys know where to find me. Uh, I'll put my link tree in the chat, but basically nuclearcaudillo on all platforms: Patreon, Instagram, Twitter, and of course YouTube. So please like and subscribe. And yeah, so Kyle, go ahead and introduce yourself, man.
Hey man, Nuke, well, it's a pleasure to finally get on the show with you. I know we were trying to make this happen for about a month now, but I'm glad we finally got things situated. Yeah, my name is Kyle Matovic. I host the In Liberty and Health podcast where I talk about geopolitical stuff, health and science related topics, as well as sometimes some automotive stuff because that's what I do for a career. I host another podcast called 5 Till Midnight with a couple other guys where we just usually kind of talk crap all day or for like an hour on a Monday. And then I
Mhm.
also do a podcast called Cognitive Vigilance, where we're probably going to talk about some of the topics that we're going to talk about tonight, mostly intersexual dynamic stuff, red pill topics. And I begrudgingly try to berate one of my co-hosts to move on past, the red pill being just Myron, Fresh and Fit, and Andrew Tate, because every single show she seems to want to say that pretty much
Yeah.
she wants to just say that the red pill is Myron being gay and retarded. And I'm like, there's a lot more than that.
Yeah. The most important thing to know is that it doesn't begin or end with a person. Like I think people's biggest struggle is that it they they want it to be a person. They want it to be a collective. They
Yeah.
want it to be like a legion of doom somewhere in a swamp where we're planning the next move, the next attack on I guess marriage or women or something. It's like definitely not that. And it's like one of my first interviews was with a gal that got like um a red pill content creator very respected in the space went on one of her chats and called her fat, and she brought it up in a really big live show. And then
Mhm.
I somebody connected me to her, and I explained to her like she hates the red pill, she hates everyone, she hates Rolo. And I said, hey, it doesn't begin or end with Rolo, it doesn't begin or end with anyone. If all the content creators like died, unfortunately, let's say they all disappeared, it would still exist. The books are still out
Mhm.
there, the forums, the blogs, everything's still out there. You can't really, unless you eliminate free speech, which it will take a lot. It will take a lot of violence to eliminate free speech.
Yeah.
It's always going to be there. So like make peace with it. Just like, like it is what it is. So yeah, I could see a lot of, especially women, struggle with that. They want to make it a person. But
Mhm.
so tell us about your journey into the red pill. Like what was the moment where, like, how did you find this stuff?
So I remember watching Elliot Hulse back in the day, and
Oh
I
yeah,
think
yeah, good times.
under my YouTube recommendations, I think entrepreneurs in cars eventually came up, and I remember watching some of his content, and I'm like, man, this is pretty interesting stuff. And then from there, I think it was Ryan Stone who said that like a lot of people's pipeline was Rich Cooper, Rolo, and then Ryan. And that's exactly the way that it was for me. And as soon as he said that, I'm like, wow, he was absolutely right. So I
Yeah.
remember hearing him talk about Rolo, and then I bought his books probably like 5 years ago or so. And then I read them I want to say maybe like a year or two after I bought him. And I listened to a few of his talks. I thought the stuff was really interesting. And I want to say part of it why to me it was so interesting because I remember being a kid and noticing in schools and stuff how you know we as boys were really treated much different than women
Yeah.
and girls. I remember seeing a girl stab some guy in the hand with a pencil, and he had this giant blood blister, like the size of half his palm. And then she
Jesus.
just got like, yeah, she just got detention or something like that. And if it was one of us that did that, then we'd be expelled. So I remember that kind of like setting a little, seed in my brain that would eventually foster into kind of, taking the red pill, to put it as a verb. And I remember always having kind of like the what Rolo would call like sniper mentality. I had eyes for this one girl for the longest time, and despite all signs telling me that I shouldn't be that way, I just couldn't help myself. And then I eventually got a girlfriend back in like I want to say it's probably 2016 or 2017. And I remember a friend of mine had lied to her and said that I cheated on her. And that just like completely threw me for a loop. And then looking back at that now, I'm like, if I would have just kind of like detached and looked at the situation for what it was, I would realize like it's so ridiculous for me to even care that a girl that I dated, and like I was good with women before that. I, you know, had been around women and being a guitar player and a competent mechanic. I,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, was really, really good at things. So had I just detached from that whole situation, I would have been like, wow, you're being a pussy about it. Get over it. Like, this is
Hmm.
what women will do. If a woman doesn't genuinely trust you, then she's going to believe, you know, whatever anybody's going to put in her ear because she doesn't, you know, want to be with you. So she's going to find a way out. And like I said, had I just attached at the time, I would have learned the lesson. But I really didn't like internalize red pill stuff until a little bit more recently. And I've been with my girlfriend now, well, my wife, for about the last 5 years. But I would say that when Jordan Peterson got pretty big, I kind of fell for a lot of the Tradcon ideals that he was pumping out there. And
Didn't we all? We all did,
yeah,
man. We all did.
um,
Yeah.
I would say that kind of led me down some more beta behaviors to, you know, kind of paint with a broad brush. But I realized I kind of put my relationship in a place I didn't want it to be. So I kind of went back to my roots, if you will, more into the red pill and kind of got back into the praxeology of things and kind of learned more about it. Realized like, oh, well, this stuff isn't just kind of like, well, screw women and, you know, these people are nihilistic. Like, you can use this in a long-term relationship, in a marriage, to make your life better. And that's what I've tried to explain to a lot of like the Orthodox Christian guys who I kind of run in circles with, and they
Hmm.
just don't seem to get it. So like, we're the anti-heroes and or
Yeah.
devils right now. Like, you know, the red pill's a demonic psyop I keep hearing, and then you know, or we're trying to destroy the West, but really, like, this, like you said, this isn't like a person. This is an ideology. This is just using information to make your life better in whatever way you see fit. If that's, you know, getting better socially with women, or, you know, spinning plates like I once did, then you can do that. If you want to game your wife, so to speak, so that way you guys have a better relationship and you start getting sex more often, then you could do that too. Like, this isn't meant to be one thing or the other. This is just information. And when you tell people that, they don't know how to interpret that because they're so used to getting ideologies beat down their neck and then, you know, told to do one thing or another. Whereas red pill is just, once again, a praxeology where it's just, we're giving you the information and you can decide what you want to do with it.
Yeah. So around 2016, like Jordan Pearson started resurging, all these conservative voices, and
Mm-hmm.
he started talking a lot about responsibility and how men were like dying to have a little bit of responsibility. You know, like as a guy, that kind of speaks to you because like you kind of want to be in charge of things. It makes you
Mm-hmm.
feel good to have a little bit of responsibility, right? But here's where the problem is: it's just like responsibility for who? You know, like
Mm-hmm.
um, self improve for who? And then gynocentrism kind of infected this kind of way of thinking where if you improve, you have to improve because it's for us, it's for women, you know. Um, and then Jordan Peterson kind of doubled down on that, and that's when a lot of guys were like, "Hold on, wait a second, like, no, like, hell no, we're not doing that." And then pandemic happened, um, and after the pandemic happened, it's like people started like fragmenting even more. Each side went to each political party or whatever way of thinking went like kind of like pigeonhole themselves right where they didn't. Everyone was already like not gonna listen to the other side. Like there was no more exchange of
Right.
ideas. It's like we're right, you're wrong, and that's it.
Yeah.
To the point where you couldn't discuss anything political during the pandemic, like nothing, because
Mm-hmm.
and riots and all that stuff. So it was a really year. It was a year of a lot of people getting like really getting reality thrown in their face about humanity and how we were. And then Trump didn't get reelected, and the whole January 6th thing happened. And that's when Twitter. If you were on Twitter for that, there was like meltdowns. Like people were melting down, people were losing their minds, people were leaving Twitter forever. Like it was a crazy time. And then after that, all the big conservative voices, you know what they became? The like these doomsayers, like it's the end of the West, complain about everything, complain about movies, complain about, yeah, it just became like everything sucks. That's what it became. And
Right.
and then Fresh and Fit started, and all these other podcasts were like, it's like and the thing is, like, right when Fresh and Fritz started, that's when I moved to Dallas and I said, "Hey, I'm a single guy. I was in the military in my 20s. I didn't really enjoy my 20s as much. I'm gonna go out and date." And I started dating like I really went out there, and I was overwhelmed because I just simply listen to other people on Twitter and just like follow their advice, the older players and womenizers and stuff. And then I got really good logistics, and I just kind of like stopped with my little preconceived notions of how to get women, which I've been red pilled since 2013, but I just wanted to actually go out there and date. And I learned so much. And it's just like when I go on Twitter, everyone, like so many people miss the mark in terms of women, intersectional dynamics, everything basically to do with the opposite gender and like relationships. And I'm just like, wait, maybe I have something to contribute. So in early this year, February 17th or 16th of this year, I wrote like a thread, 100-point thread, which I thought it was just going to be 5, and I just kept writing. And then I got noticed by some of the Rule Zero guys, and they invited me on, and the rest is history. But yeah, it was like this, like you were saying, like there was a time where that kind of conservative side pulled you in because it spoke to you as a man.
Right.
But then I realized like it's like setting yourself on fire to keep society warm. Like they don't really care that much, you know. And it's just like the mental point of origin, like that's so important because if you're not careful, you're gonna end up like setting yourself on fire to keep others warm, trying to save the West. Like imagine you a single man by yourself trying to change this course of society. Like that's insane. And not only that, you think that online by complaining and bitching about women, politics, the West is gonna change anything? Like it's bullshit.
Yeah, one thing that Rolo always says that's always appealed to me is that the red pill is kind of like triage, where basically you have to, save who you can, and then, what is it, read last rites to the dying. But yeah, the whole idea of like responsibility sounds very appealing because like the saying is we run better with a load behind us, right? We're like pickup trucks. But the fact is that like, what are you doing with that? Like, are you doing this to make your life better so that way you have options, you don't tolerate bullshit? Or are you doing this so that way you become, an insufferable bitch for a woman? Like, that's not the way that your life should be. You should want to construct a good life for yourself so that way you don't have to tolerate shitty options. And that way, whenever you do, let's say, want to settle down, then someone enters your frame, someone is in your life because they want to be, and they're willing to, go along with you on your journey. Not like, there's no compromises, right? And really, that's what I think that a lot of like conservatives miss the mark on. And this is kind of like my world because I've grown up in rural Pennsylvania.
Oh, so yeah, like, definitely conservative.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, dude, I walk like right outside my house and I see Trump flags everywhere. So
yeah.
It's kind of funny. Vivek Ramaswamy, who's a big conservative talking head right now, had just put out a video saying that he wants to codify sexual responsibility for men.
I just saw that. I just saw it like 20 minutes ago. Yeah.
Yeah, and I tweeted out that, and I said, I love how like this is just conservatism for men, like personified, basically like where they're all about putting the boot harder on men's necks. Like, yes, you should be responsible when you have sex with somebody, but like to codify this into law, and it's always under like, we're just going to have men be responsible. Well, aren't the women falling onto these penises responsible too?
Yeah,
like,
that's
what is it saying,
man?
Right.
Yeah.
What's it saying? The ice cream does want to be licked. It's
It's
not just waiting there and we're not doing it. Like this is a mutual exchange here.
Yeah, that's a lack of experience with women because any guy that's like dated even 5 women, 2 women, 3 women, the lengths that women go just to meet men. Like the things they do, it's insane, right? Let me get the super chat real quick. Super chat from my friend Nico. Let me you get one of these, sir. Hold on.
Thank you so much, best friend.
All right. Nico says, "Merry Christmas, dude. Merry Christmas, Nico. Never a dull moment when you're on Twitter." Yeah, I've been causing a lot of havoc on Twitter. Apparently, me, little old me, I'm innocent. I've just been here.
Yeah, I find that when I kind of yell at women, that gets a little bit of traction too. Not that that's all I do, but someone said, and I think you had a little bit of something on this tweet too, but one of the conservative, and the Tradcons are all over Twitter now because Elon Musk changed up the algorithms, and like that's more like my side, right? These are more my people. But she said something to the degree of like watching porn is cheating, and I said, well, porn wouldn't be an issue if women didn't stop having sex with their husbands and then become fat.
Yeah,
cunts
you
along
tweeted
the way.
that. Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm surprised I didn't get any pushback. Like, I think there may have been one person that said something about like my wife personally. I'm like, where did you get that? Like, this is about me. This is about other guys, because this is what happens for a lot of other couples. Like, and this isn't to put or to take men off the hook either, because like, look, as a dude, you have to remain fuckable, right? If you're a fat loser, then of course nobody's gonna want anything to do with you. But like, we already established, just like society, worldwide already has their boot on men's necks and will tell them that you're a loser. Like, I don't need to tell you that. You already know that. But nobody's going to tell women this.
Yeah, it's like you said, there's I don't know if it's the algo or something, but I've been getting nothing but Tradcon women on my thing, and he knows a lot about me and has done a lot of research about my life and stuff like that. Has gone back to tweets from like 6 months ago, so that's concerning. But basically what it is that they want the red pill to be on their side, because there's certain parts of the red pill that they like self-improvement, they get in the gym, be better. But what they don't like is like they think we're selfish because we want to make better for ourselves and not for society at large. And then conservative women really deny that they're feminists. They really deny it. They're just like fighting against it. But here's the thing, like they're just as feminist as the girls that say they're feminist, because what the strategy is, the agency thing is like, do I have it or I don't? Whatever is convenient for them. So when a girl says men watching porn destroys families, it's like, okay, dude, like, are you having sex with are you attractive as a woman? Like, are you attractive? Like, generally most guys will try to have sex with their wife unless she's very unattractive. And if you're very unattractive, then that's your fault. You are an adult. You have to get in shape. Everyone is an adult. Their health is their own responsibility. So that's like step one. And there's this board on Reddit called Dead Bedroom, and it's like where people complain about like, oh, my husband or wife or girlfriend or partner or whatever won't fuck me. So they go on there, and 9 times out of 10, from what I've heard, that when a girl complains about their husband not wanting to have sex with them, they're overweight, like they're just obese. Yeah, like 9 times out of 10. So it's like, that's why I always say, like, post physique for women that complain about this stuff, because it's like, hey, you have to be attractive. It just is what it is. There's no feelings. It's not personal. You have to be attractive in order for your husband to like you. Like, it is what it is. And it's just another brand of feminism, and they're just trying to get the male improvement side of the red pill on their side. And then it's just like, no, like, yes, we but it's for ourselves. Like rule 0, it's all for ourselves. It's positive sexual identity for men, and that's it. It stops there. Anything else beyond that, get the hell out. This is not for you. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. They would love us when we talk about inequality, right? Because like, as people who are of, red pill aware, we recognize that there are gender differences between men and women, right? And we recognize that like a lot of the woke stuff is absolutely insane because it's based on the idea of, blank slate equalism. We are not of that mind. Like, we completely reject that premise. So a lot of the right-wing people, kind of like their political view is based on inequality, although most right-wingers today really aren't like right-wing in a traditional sense of, recognizing natural hierarchies. A lot of them are, like you said, feminists. So they like us when we talk about that, but when we say like we want men to improve so that way they have options and they can do what they want, not what the West writ large wants them to do, then now we're the assholes and we're the enemies and we're degenerates and we're a demonic psyop and we're
part of the cabal of like destroying marriage and stuff like that.
Right. And it's not about that. And once again, there are plenty of people who are in the red pill who are married, myself included, Rollo, RP Thor, Glenn Lawrence. I mean, there's plenty of people who are married So like, why can't you guys accept that like this information is also available for guys who are married who want to make their, marriage better? Like that's not a bad thing. But we've been beaten over the head to go get married, man up, and be a good man for the West for our entire lives. But no one ever stopped and thought like, okay, well, how does this serve men? Right,
Yeah.
because we're the ones that maintain everything, right? I'm a mechanic. I see women's cars, I fix men's cars, I fix the police cars, you name it, I fucking fix it, right? I make sure everybody can get to work on time. All the high paid doctors, those are men as well. So like we maintain society, but we're told that like, oh, well, you just need to man up in your life and take on more responsibility. Okay, well, where's like the benefit for this? Or is this just like all responsibility and no authority? And that's generally what Tradcon message is. Like there was that Charlie Kirk video where he was saying, oh, the marriage is the death of the single man. And then he like lists out all these things that are enjoyable activities within reason. But he said, oh, you no longer get to do these things. And now you're a husband and all this. And it's like, well, okay, yes, you should have some responsibility as a man, obviously. But like everybody already says that. What about the leisure part? What about the part where men see a benefit? Why can we never talk about that? And like, if conservatives really want to win men over, then you need a message. You need some kind of positive vision for them. You can't just tell them, well, this is all responsibility for you, bucko. And then like, if she wants to leave and take you to court, then you're fucked. Right? Because all society and the government is against you as a guy. So, what's the positive vision that you want to bring men in with? And we see, as I said earlier, Vivek saying, well, we're going to make men, we're going to codify sexual responsibility for men into law. Like that's your vision. Like you're alienating the exact people who are probably most likely to vote for you.
Your voter base, it's exactly a suicide move, I guess. I don't know. But the thing is with the marriage is that they don't want to say that, hey, just do covenantal marriage. Don't get married with the state. And the reason they do that is because they are afraid of making women look bad. And that's where the conservatives fail. Because a rational man will think, I want to get married, but things are the way they are. So let me just do a covenantal marriage, bring our families together, have a nice wedding, give her a ring, say, hey, this is whatever you want it to be, whatever way of covenantal marriage you want to do, right? But they don't say that, because if they did say that, it's like saying, hey, women are not trustworthy. And that's like, they conservatism is feminized, right? The church is feminized, so they cannot say that because it's a direct indictment of women's true nature, and they will never accept women's true nature, because to them, women are a conduit to God. So, hey, you got to be good to your wife because your wife is like, is a God's perfect divine creature, and you're not worthy of her. And I'm just like, what? Why would I ever join a church or become a part of a group or any way of thinking where after a decade or a decade and a half of being completely squashed by women and the gynocentric social order in the military, in my personal relationships, in family relationships, and just day to day, right? Now I gotta like enter something where I'm not appreciated, like from the get, where it's like I'm expected not to be appreciated, but I have to appreciate this person, right? And it's like that's how you sell marriage to young men. That's your, instead of saying, hey, don't do state marriage, do covenantal marriage. We'll marry you, right? We'll marry you under the eyes of God, because that's what it's supposed to be, the eyes of God. And then guys will be like, hey, less risk for me. I'm gonna try it out, and if I get divorced, whatever. But they don't say that, and that's the only way they would ever be able to sell marriage now to men, and we're stuck, and it's gonna be like that. And the thing is too, like I see, like when it comes to politics and the red pill and how they intermingle, this is what I do, and this is something that I've learned. I don't know where I learned it from, but like I always take a 5 to 10 year look back at my life and all the things that have been going on and been talked about for that period of time. And then you realize that on a long enough timeline, things start seeming like bullshit, because it's the same argument with the same people, or it's either the same people or someone gets replaced with the same, it's just like, okay, for example, the marriage thing, right? I said, I want to get married, but it's risky. And that was me 10 years ago. I was 24. I'm like, I want to get married, but not now. I was kind of heartbroken, but like, it's like, hey, it would be nice to have a family, but I got to focus on me and maybe get my money up. And maybe one day I'll be able to be a father, a mature financially, emotionally, whatever, blah, blah. And 10 years ago, I was like, yeah, but I understand that there's a risk to getting married. People get divorced. 10 years later, still the same talking point. Nothing has been done to change anything. And that's like, okay, well, they don't care. They just don't care. So I don't care. You know, if the people that are trying to convince me to get married have done zero to make this institution better, if they don't care, then I don't care. And that's how I'm going to go about it. And I mean, I want to get married, but it's going to be confidential, or you know, it's going to be with a low risk person. You know, simply, and it's just like, why are you like trashing men for being rational, right? And then we go on these shows. Like I went on a show a couple months ago where you know I said, hey, the average age on an aircraft carrier, which is arguably the most powerful weapon on Earth that we have right now, politically, is the average age is 20, 22, 23. And it's 80 to 90% run by men, those ships, right? So the most powerful weapon on Earth is run by 23-year-olds. Nuclear reactors, they're being operated by 24-year-olds, right? Because I was 24, 25 operating a reactor, half asleep, right? And it's just like, we are like acting like young men are stupid, like they can't do anything. They're horny, they're like a little gullible, you know, but they're not stupid, right? So let's talk about these guys like they're rational. So whenever you try to go on a show and tell men, hey, do this or do that, give them prescriptions, it's like, no, they're smart, right? They're emotional, just like we are, you know, but let them take this information, this red pill stuff, and let them come to their own, like, let them use it the way they see fit. Let's give them credit. They're not stupid. There's 24-year-old plumbers, there's 24-year-old guys in med school, there's 24-year-old guys in master's programs. Like, there's plenty of intelligent guys that are out there keeping the infrastructure going. They just want to get laid. That's like the last piece of their life, is get a little better with women. And we have the tools because we're a little bit experienced. And then there's guys 10 years, 20 years older than us that have even more tools and have been writing for 20. You know, it's just like, this is the way we help men. It's just passing along the stories down to them and telling them, hey, put yourself first, bro. Like, please put yourself first or you will die. The beta will kill you. Trust me. I've seen it and I don't want to see it anymore. So yeah.
Yeah, dude, I've had plenty of friends that I work with, and I see the way that they talk to women. Specifically, there was one dude, and my heart breaks for him truly, because he had a wife of like 15 years or so, and she actually passed away from cancer. And I saw the way that he was talking to women. Yeah, and he was just fucking splurging all over them, just texting them nonstop. I'm like, dude, you need to relax, and you can't like try to seem like you're always puffing yourself up and putting other guys down at the same time. Like, whenever she brings up her ex, like, that's, first of all, it's a red flag if a woman's ever bringing up her ex to you, at least on any kind of like consistent basis, right? And yeah, just like constantly texting her and trying to give her all this reassurance. I'm like, give her like the gift of your absence, give her some space. If she starts, you know, returning interest, then okay, that's a good sign. But like, you can't sit there and chase because that's gonna chase her right the fuck away. Like, she's gonna want nothing to do with you if all you're doing is just showing her that you're 100% invested. Because what does that tell her? That
no one else wants you.
yeah, that no one else wants your ass. So therefore, you have to blow her up for attention. And you know, I get it, because like guys, you know, like us, our age, you know, a lot of, you know, probably our friends, I don't know about your parental situation, but I mean, I was raised by a single mom. So like, I kind of had to figure out a lot of this shit as I grew up. So like, as a guy who was raised by a single mom, it's very, very easy to interpret the attention of women in a very, very positive way and want to get overwhelmed by that as soon as you just get a little bit of it. But like, you got to fucking fight that, man. You got to realize like, okay, this is good, but you know, I need to see more signs of investment as we continue to talk, because it can't just be like, oh, she tells you you look nice or said good morning to you once before you said it to her, or else, you know, you're going to set yourself up for failure, because guys would just fucking splurge on women. I'm like, stop. Like you said, put yourself first, you know, wait for her to kind of show a little bit of interest and then try to move on with it. But like, you just completely tackling her is going to do nothing for you. And if anything, it's going to put you in a much, much worse situation. One thing I wanted to bring up too is that I did a podcast Year Zero is my buddy Tommy's podcast, and I remember towards the end, my friend Julie Mastrini, her and her boyfriend Buck, they're absolutely wonderful people, but she said at one point, like, well, where's the part of the sphere that's telling men about how to become more socially aware and charming? I'm like, that's what a lot of the sphere is, but like, you just have to look for it. If all you do is look at, stupid 304 gets kicked off podcast or something like that, like,
Engagement media.
It's entertaining, don't get me wrong, I watch it, but like, there's a lot of important work to be done here, and a lot of work that has been done for guys to become better guys for themselves, so that way they have better options, so that way they're a more appealing person. It's not like this is just for women, this is for work life, for interacting with other men. It goes beyond just interacting with women, which I think a lot of people think that's all this is just about spinning plates and getting laid. Like, no, this is about much more than that.
Well, you gotta understand too, people don't want to understand. They need a boogeyman. They need something to hate. And I have a couple reply girls on Twitter, and
I think one of them blocked me.
And they just don't understand or don't want to understand, and it's sad. There's this one reply girl, and she's hot, man. She's a hot Mexican girl. I think she's a systems engineer. She sings, gorgeous. Apparently, she says she's falling in love with a guy, and I'm like, oh, that's great. And intelligent girl, all these things going for her.
Yeah.
Yet she still goes online to engage this stuff and wants to bring down like certain people that within itself is incredibly sad for me, right?
Yeah.
And more than I have poked fun at traditional conservative women online, it makes me sad, right? Because part of the joy of having a family is being completely focused on your family, and the rest of the world is like, your world gets smaller when you have a family. You get more focused on like your children, your wife, everything, your house, like everything becomes. I haven't had children, I haven't been married, but to me, it looks like you get more focused. Like things become perspective shift. You're like, okay, what's really important, right? That's what I've been told, and it's just like there are women that claim to have like 4 kids, 3 kids, and they just banter all day with men like me, and I'm like, listen, this isn't for you, right? You're just gonna get mad at me. You're just gonna hate me. Like I have women who like say, hey, you're a cool guy, and then they see one stream and they're in my DMs just like, oh, this is so pathetic. How could you do this? You're so much better than this. And I'm like, I'm not real. Like whatever image you put in my head, I'm not real. Okay. You need to separate, like this stuff is not for you. It's just gonna make you mad, right? And this is what the problem is with engagement media. Is like the guys know this, the smarter YouTubers know this, and they know that if they treat women a certain way on a podcast, they will get engagement, because a lot of guys are broken. A lot of guys have gotten their lives ruined. A lot of guys haven't been touched by a girl in months, right? And it hurts. It's painful, right? Because I was in the military and I had to teach and mentor these guys to do their job. And like, everyone likes to make fun of like guys that have trouble getting laid, right? But when you work with them and you live with them and you serve the country with them, it changes. Like I have a lot of like, obviously there's always going to be dumbasses that like test my patience. They're always like, no, it's really hard, right? But past that, I see a person that's in a lot of pain because they were taught mental models that are destroying them right now. And it's like, I had to look into the eyes of these guys and tell them, hey, get the fuck up. It's time to go to work. Stop being lazy, in the military. And I know that deep down, no girl was like DMing them. No girl was like checking up on them. No girl, they hadn't been laid in a long time, and it's tough because one of my biggest red pilling, I was already super red pill and already doing my thing, right? But when I was in the military, and I tell this story, and this is what got that one trad girl, like, she went off, right? But before I went on deployment, I was messaging 3 girls, and not a big deal, right? I was just messaging them. It's social media. You can message like 20 girls if you wanted to, right? But I was messaging, or kind of like messaging with 3 girls. One of them later became my girlfriend. We hadn't never met, but like my brother got us in contact, and I sent her a message, and we started flirting. This was like Facebook, right? 2016, 2017, 2018. And I
Yeah.
told her, hey, I'm going on deployment. Here is my address for the ship. You can send me letters if you want. Like it was like tongue in cheek, right?
Yeah.
But she actually did. She sent me full boxes of just like candies, treats. I told her not to send me anything lewd because you don't want to open up the box and a naked picture of a girl or a half naked picture for all your friends to see, right? So I said, hey, just send me like letters and stuff. She sent me like candy and like little care packages. And then I had another girl. She was like sending me stuff too, because girls kind of like that fantasy of the sailor that's waiting for them. That when you get back, it's just like a little fantasy girls have, right? And there were days where when the mail came and the mail plane came in, and we got like boxes, and there was one time where I got like 3 boxes, and I was parading it around like, look guys, look how loved I am. And then there were married guys that were in the military for like 15 years, 12 years, got nothing, right? Guys with 2-3 kids, guys that dedicated their whole life to their family, and their wives weren't sending them anything, right? My best friend, he was married to Miss Teen North Carolina, like beautiful pageant girl, like gorgeous blonde. Like he looked like a Ken doll, and she looked like a Barbie doll, like truly Barbie Ken marriage. And they had a little son and everything, right? And one day, me and him kind of got into a lot of arguments. We were both like very like confrontational, but friends, but like I guess it was like too much testosterone, right? And one day he told me like he just sit on his computer and just like, hey, so and so is divorcing me. And I'm like, what the hell? You guys had like a perfect marriage. Like you guys were the American couple. And he was like, no, I caught her cheating. And I was like, what the hell? Right. So at that point, I'm like, we're all victims of this new thing that is like open hypergamy, girls, social media. Some of us for a while, we get like benefits. Some of us get our lives destroyed. So it's like, how do I bend this to my benefit, right? And that girl that I later became my girlfriend, she left me for another guy. And while she was with that guy, she still continued to message me. So it's like I took a step back and I'm like, it's just technology. Like technology is making people crazy. Like we're not supposed to have this level of access to people, but we do.
Exactly.
And we really need to forgive ourselves. Let me grab this super chat.
Yeah, you're good.
All right, we got Dark Knight Dev for the $5. Thank you, my friend. Nice to see you. You get one of these. Nope. Get one of these.
Thank you so much, best friend.
Dark Knight Dev says, kick Kyle off the pod. Too many White Claws. LOL. The RP is to take out. Have a takeout session with a shotgun. Yeah, they don't see that. They don't see that. They think that, like, I think the hardest thing for them to understand is that it's a means to an end. Like we're just trying to, like it's a solution based model. We're trying to find a solution to a problem, right? So yeah, that's my red pilling story. I'm sure you have probably many yourself, but that was like the point where I was like, I need to figure this out now because everyone's suffering, and I don't want to suffer any more than I have to. Like I have to get this stuff, So
yeah, dude, it's crazy. And like I said, my group of guys are mostly going to be like the Tradcons, and I have I'm in like a group chat with a couple of dudes who are like probably in their like early 20s, maybe even like late teens, and they're all about like, oh, the Daily Wire guys are right about marriage. And I'm trying to like talk sense to them, like, look, you don't understand how bad this can be. And it's not the fact that any woman will, but it's that any woman can. So like, if anything, the red pill is more for you trad guys who think that like this fantasy that some woman is going to walk into your life and she could be your perfect trad wife. Like you are incredibly susceptible to be the dude, like Dark Knight Dev said, to start a shotgun. Like you are the most likely dude to do that because you go your entire life under this guise that you're going to find one woman who is going to be just this perfect trad wife and you guys are going to live this happy life. So like you're so fixated on this vision that you have set for your life that you're going to find a woman and she may have some red flags, some glaring red flags at that, and you're going to just look right past all those. But because she was attracted to you, you're going to ignore those, and then you're going to start dating her, and then oh, this is the first girl and she wants to be my trad wife. And then you get, a couple years down the line, you guys have a dead bedroom, maybe you have a kid or something like that, and you didn't have this knowledge that the red pill can give you. And then she goes to divorce you, and you end up in a situation like your friend there. Like, that shit fucking breaks my heart. That is horrible, to be under the guise that you did everything right. And by society standards and what they tell you, he did, right? You went to the military, you served your country, right? Very, very beautiful sentiment there. Like, that is incredible. And, respect to anybody that decides to do that. You got married and had a kid, right? I mean, this is what everybody's telling you to do. And she still leaves you. So, like, if you don't have, like, another option afterwards, you built your whole life around this fantasy, what other options do you think you have?
Yeah.
Now, red pill awareness would tell you, like, okay, I have to rebuild myself. I have to do something completely different. All the information I was given was wrong, and I built my life on a faulty foundation. Now it's time to really put in the work. But some guys, if they don't ever hear that message, or if they don't hear stories like that, or if they don't learn from stories like that, then, they're the ones who end up in places that we don't want them to be, right? So, I mean, that's why I really try to tell these guys, like, just hear me out here. Like, understand that if you're going to enter a marriage, then you need to understand how all this stuff works, so that way, once again, you don't build your life on a faulty foundation and end up, paying child support or getting zeroed out, because that's what we don't want for anybody. That's our whole reason for doing this, is to really, once again, give men the tools to make their lives better and to not get zeroed out.
Yeah, the red pill is written in blood. It's written in blood. It's not some kind of like little.
Yes.
It's not like some powwow where we get online on Twitter or Reddit or YouTube and we just like, hey, how can we? We're not insecure. Like, that's another big thing. Oh man, we insecure. We kick girls off podcast. Listen, I was on a show where they kicked girls off. I didn't feel good. I didn't feel good because, a little secret, when you're on a show and there's girls and it's like one of those red pill dating shows, girls are terrified. They are shaking, right? Because they see these guys, they see the bright lights, they see people insulting them in the comments. They did it to themselves. They have agency. I don't feel sorry for them that much because they wanted to be there, right? But they see two muscular guys who have a shit-eating grin, right? And are just, just disagreeing with them. So what I do is, like, I try to make them feel comfortable, because deep down, I'm not changing. Like here's one thing guys really got to understand, right? Women do not care about the opinions of men they are not fucking. Like, they're not having sex with, right? The only woman that may care about your opinion is the woman you marry or love, or maybe, whatever girl you have running around, maybe, and your daughter, if you have one, right? Your mother, maybe, just the women that are like close to you, that are extremely relevant to your life. But some girl you meet online, like, I have an acquaintance where, like, whenever he gets flaked on, he says when a girl flakes on you, you should, like, tell her, say, hey, that's messed up, like, kind of scold her. And I'm like, dude, even worse.
She don't care. She don't care.
No, even and the thing is, like, once you start dating, you get, to meet women, you realize, like, here's another concept that I introduced recently, the whole revenge fantasy, where, like, guys have, like, oh, the cat food, the alone forever. And I'm like, first off, dude, I know that you're hurting, and I know that you're not getting you're in your red pill rage phase, which you're entitled to, right? Every guy that is allowed to be angry. You just got to turn it into something positive. Gym, work, I know that you're mad and you want this woman to suffer, but trust me, do you really want a person to live out the 40 years by themselves? Like, do you want them to be alone? Like, from deep down, do you really hate anyone on earth so much that you want them to go crazy and be isolated for the rest of their life? I don't want that for anyone, no matter how mean they are on Twitter, no matter what they say on YouTube, no matter what they say or do. I don't wish that on anybody, because as guys, we know what it is to be isolated.
Yes.
Even for a while. I was isolated without social media and my parents and my family for months serving overseas. And all I had was my shipmates. And even then, it was still hard. I don't wish that on anybody. Yeah, you fucked up. And yeah, you probably suck as a person. But still, I don't wish that on anybody. So that's step one. And step two, I can promise you, right? You're already getting your revenge fantasy, but you won't like it. Trust me, when you date girls and you find out the things that they have to deal with constantly, you may think that they have some like this super upper hand where they're just winning at life just for being a girl. And I'm like, that is so short lived and in such short bursts, right? That you think, because social media is the highlight reel where girls are like, look at me, titty meat and booty meat, and look how sexy I am, not getting all this. You don't know that she is going to an apartment of some guy she met on Tinder, that or her ex, who's has her as a side chick, and she's depressed, she's on SSRIs, but she's trying to show you how great it is to be her, right? And the stories I've seen from girls that I've dated, like um there was an older woman who we matched, we knew what it was, but she was like 40, and she was like, one of the first messages she sent to me when I got her number was like a AI version of what both of our what our kids would look like. And I was a little creeped out by that, but I played along. I thought it was really flirty, right? She's an older woman. Older women flirt a little differently, I guess. And then she was telling me about her plastic surgeries and how she wants to get more and more plastic surgeries. This girl was like done up. This woman was done up, and she's 40. And I'm just like, you're addicted to plastic surgeries. And I met another girl recently this year who I went on a date with, and she's gorgeous gal. And we were intelligent, smart girl, like super in shape, very social. And she also spent the day talking about what work she wanted done on her body. Right. And if you think that's some kind of W, some kind of W that you want to you're like 28, 40, 35, and you still want to keep going to getting these risky surgeries, which you have like a 1 in 3,000 chance of dying, and to come back and to still not get the man you want. That's not a W. Like, can we please stop with the revenge fantasy,
Yeah, well, you know what? I really like that you brought it to that, and that kind of goes to like body dysmorphia. And this kind of goes a little bit more to like the health stuff, but like eating disorders happen from disordered eating, right? So like a lot of these girls who are super lean and super fit, especially the ones that kind of get into like bodybuilding and stuff, can end up developing an eating disorder. And what a lot of people don't know about eating disorders is that they're actually the most deadly mental disorder that there is. So 20% of all people who have an eating disorder will die directly from that eating disorder.
Holy shit.
I mean, that is how serious that kind of stuff is. Now, it's not a lot of people who have those, but like as a fraction, if we're talking about like depression and people who have eating disorders, obviously there's a lot more people who die from depression, whatever that cause may be. But like, of the people who have the eating disorders, once again, 20% of those people die directly from that. So like you said, like the idea that you would want somebody to live miserably, like, why do you care about that? Like, shouldn't you want to just prosper yourself? Like, I can't really think of anybody that I'm sitting here like, oh my God, I can't wait for their day to be ruined. Like, I don't care about that stuff that much. My wife like begrudgingly made a Twitter, but like she doesn't even use it. But I guess maybe a little piece of advice for guys, and not that I try to do advice too much, but like if you see a woman who's very catty on social media and can't get off of it, it's probably not a good sign. But like, if you, my wife doesn't post on social media. If you go to her Twitter, there's like a handful of replies. And if you go to her Facebook, you're going to see like pictures of our dogs and then maybe pictures of her and I. That's about it. Like, if
that's
you
healthy.
See a girl,
That's what I want my girl's Twitter to be like, or Facebook.
Right. Yeah, but if you see a girl who's always just chatting up other dudes or needs attention from other people, then that should set some kind of red flag in your head, saying like, something either I'm doing isn't enough, or this woman needs more attention that I shouldn't be obligated to provide, right? And kind of like to a point that you were saying earlier, that like, when you're married and when you have a family, which I plan to have kids, your scope should narrow to being focused on being the best man that you can be for you, so that way you can provide for the rest of your family. Right? Like that should be your goal.
You put on your oxygen mask first before you put the oxygen mask of the person next to you.
Exactly. And like self-interest, you should always want to make sure that you always take place first. So like one thing that I did was over the course of 2020, and then obviously till now, I started to develop a little bit of like a home gym where I could get a pretty dang good workout at my house. Now, granted, there's 500 pounds at the gym that's like 5 minutes away from me. But when I have kids, it's going to be a little more difficult to make it to the gym. So why not make it easier to be accountable to myself by having that stuff at home, right? or have tons of protein powder like I do, so that way I don't miss a meal, right? I can always have protein on the go if I need to. So just kind of like planning stuff out is very, very important, and that should be something that every guy does, so that way you don't fail. But I guess it kind of rounds out the topic of like accountability and this idea that women are going to get their comeuppance, because the majority of the time there's way more simps that are going to be ready to provide a woman a good life than there will be women willing to provide you as a guy a good life. So you might as well do for you, because ain't no one else going to do it for you. Like, nobody cares about men.
Yeah.
The Rich Cooper saying is that women don't care about men's struggles. They wait at the line and fuck the winners, and it's absolutely true. And even if it's not 100% true all the time, it's better to functionally think of it that way, because the outcome for you when you think of it that way is that you're going to do the best for yourself to make sure that you're a winner that the woman picks at the finish line.
Yeah. I would say, in terms of the revenge fantasy, there's a scene in the X-Men movie, one of the X-Men movies, where Dr. Xavier, Mike, what's his name? Yeah, Professor X.
Yeah, I think
he touches Magneto's head, or touches Magneto's forehead or something, and he gains all the trauma. He sees all the trauma that he went through, and he was like, "Holy shit!" He's like, "How are you functioning right now? Like, what the heck?" Right? And that's how it feels like when you interface with girls sometimes, because women don't have like the way I look at it is like, women don't have a steady guide going through their life, right? And we joke about like women do whatever they want, no accountability, right? And we think it's like it has to do only with like certain things in life, but it's like a lot of things, right? Like, there are girls that I see casually, don't want to be in a relationship, we just have sex, go out to eat and all that stuff, and I have to tell them, hey, go to therapy. Like, you schedule therapy, you're not getting out of this. And the reason I do that is because, not because I want to be like their father, it's just like, I'm a human being and you're going through something bad and you need to go to therapy. Like, I'm sorry, like, if I'm the only, I have to tell you this, because like, women nowadays, like, they're out of control. It's really, it's really tough. The hardest thing for me in being, just being out there and playing the field and spinning plates, right, is that when I'm spinning plates, you realize that women's decision making ability is very based on short term. It's so based on short term, and you'll have women that are just like, hey, let's not use protection. And I'm just like, are you on birth control? No.
Well, there's your answer.
Like, oh, single mothers are men's fault. I'm just like, literally, it takes two to tango. Like, it literally takes two people to make a person, and then you have women that are like alcoholic now. I've never seen so many women drink so much in my life. Like, when I go on dates, it used to be like 10 years ago, if you offered alcohol to a woman, it was almost seen like kind of creepy,
Right.
Like, if you gave her too many drinks. But now it's the opposite. Now it's like, you have to slow her down and be like, man, is she getting too drunk? Let's get water for the next round. Like, I don't know, this girl's really like sucking them down. So the dating game has changed in that women no longer have any tether to like male rationale. Like, they're just out there, right? So every new girl that comes in is like a ball of chaos that I have to figure out, is this girl gonna hurt me beyond what we see, right? So, for example, there's a lot of women too that have sugar daddies now, right? And just like providers, and men just like desperate to throw money. And these people, these traditional conservatives, think that if we get away with porn, or get away with like all these services where men can transfer money to women for nothing, over nothing, right? They think that's, they're automatically going to save society, and that's it. But I tell you, when you see the absolute savagery at which men want to throw their hard-earned money at undeserving women, and those women are coming to you for free, like, relatively, like, I last year around this time dated a concert violinist, one of the most traditional girls in the way she dressed. She enjoyed, intimacy a lot. She was like like kind of closeted, but also she was very respectful, very super smart, like way smarter than me, right? She also had like a culinary degree. She got a full ride to play violin. Like this girl's like super smart, right? And she was like, hey, yeah, one of my she teaches violin. One of my clients, yeah, he took me out to dinner, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting, right? We weren't serious yet, but like I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like, yeah, and he also gives me bracelets and he gave me a purse. And I'm like, your student? And I'm like, yeah, he's really nice. And I had to explain to her, like, hey, he's trying to buy your affection. Like, do you not see that? And she's like, really? Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, he's giving you stuff so you can give him something in return. Like, it's not out of the goodness of his heart, right?
There was a theory, I think it was called error. I'm writing it down now because if I don't, I'll forget it. But it was called error management theory, and I don't know who coined it. But basically, men interpret positive interactions from women as sexual interest, and then women interpret positive interactions from men as just men being friendly. But the fact is that for our hindbrains, it benefits us to think that a woman interacting with us positively is sexual interest because that means that, hey, we have a chance to spread our offspring. Whereas like for women, now they're in such a state of abundance that it doesn't matter for them. Like they've lived their entire lives having their asses kissed, and everybody being nice to them and trying to, like you said, buy their affection, that like they've never had somebody stick up to them or tell them the way that it is, because every guy is trying to get in their pants. My wife, when we first started talking, she was working at a line painting job and she didn't work there for very long, but the one guy had, I think it was like race cars. So like there's a bunch of racetracks around me. And she was like, oh, he wants to invite me over so I can drive his car. I'm like, he is trying to have sex with you. That was what he's trying to do. It's not like, hey, we're going to, be friends. No, he is trying to have sex with you. She's like, what? No way. And then like a couple weeks later, she was like, yeah, you're right. I'm like, yes, that is the way that men try to get in your pants if they don't have any kind of game or if they're not physically attractive.
They play the long game.
Exactly. They're going to buy your affection.
Yeah. They play the long game, and that's why it's one of the most important things and with women is like always let it be known early, like as soon as it's appropriate, that you're trying to get in her pants. Now, obviously you temper that with charm, charisma, a little bit of banter, but like don't because women will put you in a box and you'll stay there forever, and you don't want to be in that box. It's better to just move on to someone else, right? It's not any girl that makes you wait for sex is never worth the wait. So it's like, you don't want to be there. And and that's basically what the red pill is. It's just like to put you in a position to freaking win. And women see that and it's just like, win? You mean like take advantage of women? I'm like, no, because a guy that's red pill, everyone around him benefits, right? He doesn't waste women's time. The women around him want to be around him, genuine desire. Like he doesn't waste his time with maybe girls, breadcrumbing and all that stuff. And he also understands, like red pill is like, it's like step one in understanding the world, because once you understand women, which takes a lot of self, like looking inward and being like, why am I like this? Why? And you start seeing like, oh shit, a lot of more realities start coming true. Like, oh, this is why I am the way at work. And this is why my boss is this way. And this is why this person is this way. This my friend is this way. And you realize like, wow, now I have this big understanding and I'm like more conscientious because now I understand more of how the world really works, and I become more hungry for truth rather than hungry for bullshit, things that don't serve me. So yeah, it's always, the red pill is not a movement, it's not an ideology, it is a means to an end. We don't even care what's right. Like here's another thing that podcasts do, stats, but my stats, they just play stat like chess, like they're just trying to stat each other out of an argument. And I'm like, dude, I'm like, listen, let's do this. I just go with the medium as a message, right? Some people say, women, especially like women that are like in the sex field, right? Like sex workers are trying to argue for marriage or argue for that things aren't as bad as they are. And I'm like, listen, you have never been in front of a woman with the testosterone of a man. You don't understand the struggle, right? You don't understand that I wake up, I walk my dog, and I'm crusty and I'm barely awake. But I see a girl in yoga pants running by me. She smiles, and I'm just like, wow, she's hot. Yeah, it's on. Like, damn, she look good. Like, like half asleep, hungry. Whereas a girl, I would be invisible to her, no matter how good I look, because she is like half asleep and like just trying to get on with her day, and she's tired. She has to go to work, right? they don't understand our struggle. So never take advice from a woman because they don't understand what testosterone is. They don't understand the male experience. They would need 10 times the amount of testosterone that they currently have to understand. And not only that, they don't understand how important sex is to us, right? They think that sex is just like for them, where it's just like the end. Sex is like the end game of everything. Like it's like it's the eventuality. For us, it's like the goal. Like we can't help it. So what we do is like we practice restraint. We learn game. Some of us bitch on the internet. Some of us buy women like illegally. Some men throw money at OnlyFans. Like every man has their own pragmatic way of dealing with the reproductive problem. And I'm just trying to say that, like, hey, you can kick and scream all you want, but your testosterone is probably not going to go like start in like declining in earnest until like probably your 60s. And even then, you'll probably take something to keep it up. So women are going to be attractive to you for the rest of your life. So you have to do something about it. And why not like give it 1 or 2 years of learning about women? That way, for the rest of your life, you'll be at peace, right?
Well, not only that, but I mean, it also makes you a more pleasurable person to be around. So I think one thing that kind of like always made this a little bit more natural for me is that I've always been a very gregarious and social person. So, I mean, I've played in a band now for 7 years or so. So when you play music, and like the biggest show we ever played was opening for Steel Panther
Nice, dude.
yeah, we opened for Steel Panther back in, I want to say it was September of 2020, which was a hell of an experience. It is very, very interesting to see the way that people treat you after you just walked off a stage playing in front of over 1,000 people. And I mean, we've opened for Lita Ford twice, Saliva, Firehouse. I'm trying to think of some of the other bands, but we've opened for a decent bit of bands. But like, you start to understand some of this stuff a lot more, social proof in particular, when you step off that stage after you just played. And even not like just women, but also like how much guys will just instantly respect you. Whereas like, sometimes, if you don't know a guy, sometimes it may take like a little bit of like bullshitting before you guys like establish a ground here. As soon as you walk off that stage, you're friends with everybody. And like, that's a very, very important experience. And I understand that like some guys probably aren't going to have that. Unless you're in like some kind of tribe where, like for me, my workplace, I'm good friends with everybody I work with. And like, I work right now, probably like one of the healthiest workplaces I've ever been at. Like everybody there is cool. There's no assholes. We all get along really, really well. We all help each other out. And we're also like flat rate. So as a mechanic, you get paid by like the jobs that you do, not the hours that you work. And everybody there is pretty much paid that way. And we all help each other out. So like, whenever you have a job that nobody else did, when you fix it right, then okay, well, once again, there's your kind of proof that like, okay, well, you know what you're doing, so therefore you're respected within this tribe, within this hierarchy at this time. When you play music, since I'm more of the lead guitar player in the band, people recognize me and like, holy fuck, dude, you could shred. I'm like, okay, well, I've been playing for a long time, so hopefully. But yeah, just stuff like that is kind of what made a lot of the stuff a little bit more natural for me, and why like the understanding came pretty easy. And then internalizing it obviously was another thing as well. And one thing that I think a lot of guys might get hesitant from is that when they get attention from women, especially if they're in a relationship, they want to shoo that away and say, oh no, like no. Embrace it, be charming. Now, depending on your relationship situation, don't take them out back and rail them, but welcome it and enjoy the presence of other people.
Passive dread, you earned it. Yeah,
exactly. You earned it, and you should absolutely, use that to your advantage.
And your girl in her hindbrain, she will appreciate it because she knows she has a winner.
Absolutely.
Like
exactly.
No one wants to be with a guy or a girl that no one else wants. You want to be, you want a prize, right? So it helps them not only appreciate you more, but also there's just like, wow, I got a winner, and that's that's what they want. I just another thing I wanted to mention to you is like the men taking women at their word for when they list off their requirements. Like I call it superficial pre-selection. I got that term from the book Dataclism. Basically, women would go on these dating apps. I don't know if you've read Dataclism. It's a great book.
I have it downstairs, but I have not started. I've been listening to The Evolution of Desire, but I have the physical copy of Dataclism. I really want to read it, though.
Oh, dude, it's a great book, and that data science is really what's going to be the next big kind of like way we like learn about human behavior because everything's online now. So like the
Yes.
clicks, what people click, what people do, like especially on dating apps, like how we interface. And a lot of women like would say, I want this in a man, this in a man, this in a man, but then their messages that they would send and what they would respond to from men did not reflect that. Right.
Mhm.
So I think Dataclysm came out in 2011, if I'm not mistaken, or a little later.
Mhm.
But one of the things that guys I'm like trying to hammer into guys' heads is like when you see these street interviews where girls are like, I need a wedding ring to be like $13,000 or something, or I need this much money, or I need this, or I need that, right? Um, don't take it seriously. Don't take it personally. First off, she's been with a bum. She's had sex with a guy for free, like at a party, a frat party, or
Yeah.
she was drunk and she met this guy at the club, they made out and they went home and it was a bad decision, but and all that, right? Um, and also those women don't know what six figures is like. They don't know like and I think I put it in my thread where like ask a random girl, like, hey, show me 6 feet with your hand. For a guy, for us, we can pretty pinpoint 6 feet pretty
Mhm.
close, right?
Yeah.
And then the girls that complain about your junk size, like, hey, show me 6 inches, show me 7 inches, show me 5 inches. They don't know. They'll be like,
Yeah. No.
they won't know, right? Um, like ask a girl to parallel park. Hey, say 6 inches from the curb, and it'll be like one wheel is like 4 inches, the other wheel is like eight, like a foot,
Or it's probably on the curb.
or on the. See, they don't have the spatial awareness, so like you need to. Part of learning game is to understand that you always have to look what women do, not what they say. For the love of God, what women say doesn't mean much. Obviously, if a girl's like, "Come home with me right now," yeah, you kind of want to like shuffle that way, yeah, right. But like for the most part, women will look at you and say you're gross, but then the eyes they'll be like, please keep talking to me, please take me home. Like as a guy, you have to get over that because it's your mental health. Like you can't go online all day and take these women at face value because you're going to go crazy. You're going to feel inadequate. You're going to feel like and realize this: you are the prize, right? It may not seem like it. All of society is trying to teach you that you're not and that they are. But if you think about it, you are the prize. And if you act like the prize, not in a douchey way, right? You will be treated like the prize. It just, you have to believe you have to believe that you're the prize, and you'll see how women treat you differently, right? I just wanted your thoughts on that, on superficial pre-selection.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, kind of like I was saying earlier, when you walk off stage after you just crushed a set, then obviously the indicators of interest are going to be right there. Like people want to validate you. People are, going to fluff you a little bit because you just did good. But like, for me, I remember Tinder was very, very good to me. I know some guys complain about dating apps, but I had a lot of luck with them back in the day.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny because like I've been in social situations where I've been, kind of, guys being guys, I'm busting another guy's balls, and a woman would say something, and what she said sounded pretty vulgar, like, oh, I can't wait for him to hit you or something like that. But like she was staring right at me in a very, very interested way. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, that's because
Yeah.
she's interested in what I'm doing right now.
Body language is everything, yeah.
Exactly. So like you have to kind of, like you said, separate the words from the action here. You have to interpret, what is the actual message that's going on here, because you can listen to what she says all day, but what she does may be a completely different thing. So, I've been with women who said that they want to settle down with a nice guy, but then,
Yeah, we know what they actually do. Yeah.
Yeah, well, they'll even introduce me to their family or something like that. And this was, way back in the day, but like they'd introduce me to their family, and then like we have a one night stand or something like that. It's like, okay, well, clearly you didn't want all that if that's the end result. But yeah, basically, like, like you said, you have to treat yourself as the prize. You have to work on yourself as if you're the prize. And, once again, it's not necessarily that it's always functionally true or necessarily true, but like the functionality of it is what's important. So like if you believe that you're the prize and that gets you in the gym, that gets you, a raise at your job because you believe you're worth more. If that gets you in better social situations and you talking to women in a way that's better for you and gets you better results, then you're the prize, right? Like, why would you not believe that if, you know, all the things in your life line up better for you when you treat yourself that way?
Yeah. If me thinking the moon is made out of cheese gets me to a better place in life, then the moon is made out of cheese, and there's
Right.
nothing you're gonna do to change my mind. Simple as
Right.
like that. Yeah. And then we get caught up in like who's right, who's wrong. And I can tell you this, like, listen, um, the red pill is not like again, the red pill is not like there's no one gonna come save you. No one's gonna change women for the better. We're not gonna hold a woman accountable. None of that, right? It's you versus them. Like you're gonna be on the date by yourself. There's gonna be I'm not gonna be there. You're not gonna be able to hold the rational male book in front of you. You're not gonna have pull out blogs and
Yeah.
like you're not gonna bring your statistics to the date, right? It's you versus the girl. And what matters is that you're able to have charm, charisma. And here's another mindset is like a lot of guys don't like this when I say this, but like, hey, I'm like, hey, we are their entertainment, right? Don't let them down, right? So don't come with this provider energy because women do not need,
Yes.
like, obviously, when you get married or have a relationship with them, they're going to get pregnant and they will need you, right? For that time where they're pregnant and have children. Like scientifically and emotionally, they need a man. Like that's how there's no getting out of that, right? But I will say, outside of that, women don't need you financially. So stop leading with money. Stop leading with provider energy. Lead with fun, exciting. Because here's the thing: would you want to hang out with someone that's boring? No one wants to hang out
No.
with a boring
Right.
person. You want to hang out with someone that has jokes, someone that has good stories, someone that listens to you too. And that's bring that same energy to a woman. Like she shaved her legs, she did her hair, she went between two dresses, she canceled a call with her mom, she walked her dog early, she tried to leave work early,
Mhm.
she texted her group chat, she's nervous, all that to come see you, and you sit down and you can't let her down. She wants you to win. She is begging you to not talk her out of sex and out of like another date, right? She is like she wants you to be that guy. Like, and I want guys to understand that when they go on a date, and that all these women out there that are complaining about bad dates, bad this, bad that, they just went out with guys that had no game. It wasn't that the guy wasn't good enough. The presentation was bad. You are good enough, right? Being that you're in shape and you're doing the bare minimum to be above average, which, let's be honest, being above average is not that hard these days.
Right.
So it's like, stop with the doomer mentality. You're gonna be fine. Realize that the black pill doomer side of this stuff, um they just misery loves company, crabs in a bucket. And once you start dating women, you're going to feel like you're going to learn things about their lives, the average woman's life, that you're just like, I am so sorry, like I wish I could help you, I can't, but like good luck, like I can't help you. You're not my wife, you're not my girlfriend, there's nothing I can do for you, and you don't want to be my wife or girlfriend, so good luck.
Right.
If you need anything like that I can help you with, maybe, but like I can't change the trajectory of your life.
Yeah.
You have agency, and so um what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, you know, it's kind of funny because if you guys listen to Cognitive Vigilance, where my one co-host Brandy, she used to be a manager at a strip club. You brought up guys kind of like leading with money, and it's kind of funny because she said that like when she did dating services, a lot of guys would do that, and she said, "Oh, well, you know, women don't just want money." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, that's true, but like the reason why a lot of girls might have rejected those guys for that reason is because they didn't have anything else to offer other than that. They didn't have game, they weren't attractive." And to another point that you made, it really is not that hard to be not average. So like my genetics for like a physique aren't that great. Like my mom blessed me with good calves and good glutes, but that's about it. Other than that,
Hey,
my
thanks,
back, my
mom.
chest, yeah, right. Everything else is pretty average.
Mhm.
But like that being said, the average guy is 5'8" and like 200 pounds, and they can't even deadlift 300 pounds. And for anybody that's been resistance training for any serious period of time, it does not take that long to get to
Is it like 6
300 pounds.
months? Like 6 months, maybe?
Yeah, probably. It's really not that hard to get to a 300-pound deadlift or like a 225 bench or maybe like a 250-pound
It's like
squat.
like a year for all of those, as long as you eat
Yeah,
right. Yeah, like a year.
right. Hardly even that. And like if you have good genetics, 4 months, easy.
Yeah.
Like, so to be not average when it comes to like the looks department, like sometimes, yeah, you may have a shitty face or something like that, or your teeth may suck, but like we have technology. Like these
Yeah,
things can improve over time. To be not average is so easy. So like I never got on board with this black pill mindset. And even like when it comes to political stuff, but more so like in this realm, we have every reason to be optimistic, because if you're just not a boring dude and you're willing to put in, just go to the gym 3 days a week and eat well at least 5 days a week, and develop some sort of social skills, you're already like heads and shoulders, torsos above all your competition. So like if you want it, it's out there. It's not that hard. I was, at one point 250 pounds. I was huge. Well, maybe not like huge, but I mean, I was definitely a big boy. I was doing excellent with women because I didn't lose weight until I met my wife. About a year after we started dating is when I started taking like nutrition and stuff seriously. So like if I could do well with women when I was 250 pounds at 5'11", then like everybody else has no excuse, right? Growing up from a single mother household, like everything that was in my past and that I grew up with should have told you that I'm going to be some loser on the side of the road shooting up. But like, if I could do it, I have full faith in every single person watching this, every person that will listen to this, that they could do the exact same thing for themselves and, engineer their lives in a way that they see fit, that's going to keep them fulfilled and, periodically bring them happiness. And then, they'll continue on to do whatever they want to do. Like, this stuff is not that hard if you just put in a little bit of effort. But that's what people don't want to do. People don't want to hear that you have to take accountability for yourself and choose to make your situation better.
And it's not women's fault at all. Women have nothing to do with your self-improvement. You're not doing it for them. You're doing it for yourself.
Yes.
And then they say like the phrase like, oh, women, men now have to work 10 times harder for girls that are 20 times worse than our grandparents, whatever, right? I'm like, think about it like this. You're making yourself better for the opportunity to meet many women, right? Because even if you want a wife or you just want to play the field, you have to meet several women. Like,
yes,
you not gaming women and you not meeting women is not going to bring you closer to a traditional wife. It's actually the opposite, right? Me being out there doing my thing, I've met more traditional, smart, intelligent, high IQ women than I would have if I just said, hey, I'm just going to go to church on Sundays and we'll see what happens, And you realize too that a lot of women most women respond to the same things in terms of like game and like how you move as a man and all that stuff. But also you start to see something cool where it's just like, it's not that a lot of people like women are shitty. Like a lot of guys will say, oh, women are shitty, whatever. It's that like, they're just shitty people, like people that are shitty. Like women can be shitty. And it's like,
and nobody cares.
Right. Like, and the thing is too, like a lot of people, especially girls, they like to hide behind like conservatism or their ideologies, or like, hey, I got played by a man, so I could be a bitch to everyone. And you realize when you date these girls, like, you're like, man, it's not that she's a girl, it's just that she's a shitty person. Like, I don't want to be around her. Right. So you get the opportunity to meet quality women. You're just like, wait, I like that. I'm gonna write that down. I like that when women do this. I didn't know. My pastor said I shouldn't like that. Because, like, for example, I think Ryan talks about this. If a girl, let's say there's two girls, and you have a conservative girl wears conservative dress, like Pearl says, like, I deem this appropriate, whatever. And then you have a girl that, like, maybe she doesn't dress like a hoe, but she has like maybe an arm tat or leg tat, and her hair is a little short, and maybe she's got purple hair, highlights or whatever, right? But that girl treats you like a king. Like, she's awesome. She respects you. And she just has a tattoo or two, right? And then the traditional girl is like a bitch, like disrespects you in front of your family. Like which one do you think the online conservatives are going to tell you to get with? The bitchy, shitty trad girl. Is that what you want? No, because you're not your mental point of origin. You're constantly making excuses for not going what after you want, and you make everyone else make the decision for you, right? Like, I personally have looked at the field, and I'm like, I would like a girl that's like not super traditional conservative. I want her, what I value the most is like respect, like be classy in public, and then we don't have to be these like super religious zealot people to everyone. We don't have to have the perfect relationship. Like, I don't care about what other people think. And it's just like once you know what you want, the dating becomes even better. And it's just like as you go on, people think that it's just gonna be hard. Like once you get past your first girl that you like pick up from a dating app or online or in person, and you have a good experience with one girl, you're gonna realize like, hey, that wasn't so bad.
Mhm.
That wasn't so bad. I think I could do that again. I didn't like her, or she just wants casual, or maybe we do like each other, or whatever it is, right? I think I could do that again. And then you start doing it again. You're just like, okay, that girl was okay, but she did this and I didn't like that. You start figuring out, wait, I thought I was supposed to like this, but I don't. What the heck? And then you start realizing like, oh, I have to touch grass and I have to live life on my terms and I have to find out what I want because it's about me and the red pill isn't about holding women accountable and getting them to like that's what guys have to start talking to women, not even for the sex and enjoyment, just so they can see what it really is. And I'm telling you, you're gonna learn. It's gonna be like you're gonna like get touched by an angel, and you're gonna gain all this knowledge. You're gonna be like, whoa, like everyone's kind of missing the mark here. And you also realize that um most guys just don't care enough to try. Like they just don't care. They're not putting in the work. They're not reading the book. They what they do is they over consume red pill content, right? And then that's it.
Yeah, overconsume and under practice.
Yeah, and that's why I say, hey, for 2024, consume as little red pill content as you need. Read instead of watching a podcast, read a book. Those will help better. And then go out there and live your life. Get beat up. Girls are gonna say mean things. Don't take it personally. They don't know you. They don't know what you've done. They don't know anything about you, right? And then once you get to the point where you find what you want, start whittling down. If you want a relationship, start whittling down. Like, hey, the girls that I want do this or hang out here. And then you realize like all I had to do was kind of like touch grass and live life. Girls are gonna hurt you, no matter how red pill you are. Women are going to hurt you. They're going to mess with you. They're going to be flaky. They're going to be bad. But like that, the point of red pill is not to secure an outcome. It's to give you the tools to deal with the world that we live in. So yeah.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. I kind of think about some of my history with dating different girls, and I like looking back at it, I realized like, man, I actually dated a lot of what I would think are quality women who were like willing to be faithful and wanted to introduce me to their parents, and were willing to come over whenever for one night stands. And like one sign that I'd say was a really, really good sign is, coming back home and seeing like my entire house cleaned up from a one night stand. And that's happened multiple times. So like if you have women like that, then okay, well, continue to date them and then see how that kind of works out. I would say one of the things that really, kind of cemented things with my wife and I was she didn't need other guys' attention, and she was more than willing to be how do I want to put this? Like, I knew that I didn't need to do anything, no bells and whistles, that she was happy with me and me alone, right? And then, she also made my life a lot better in terms of like, hey, there are certain things that like, I'm very, very busy, I can't take care of. Before she moved in, I remember one day she stayed over and then I came home and my entire house was clean. She was nowhere to be found. I'm like, wow, that was cool. And she not prompted or anything like that. Like when you have women doing stuff like that for you,
Genuine burning desire. Yeah.
exactly. She wants to make your life better. But if you have a woman that's bringing drama into your life and making your life worse, then like that should be a sign that she's probably not somebody that you want to take seriously. But like women who don't make your life harder and who actually will go out of their own way to make your life better, those are the kind of women that you should take a little bit more seriously if you're looking for a relationship. But I mean, if you just want to have fun, that's fine too. I did it, and I did it with women that, made my life better. But, I just chose not to take them seriously at the time because that's not where I was. I met my wife, and then that's when I decided, like, okay, well, I think this is something that I want to take seriously. And, it's still been that way 5 years later, is that she continues to make my life better. She doesn't bring me drama. She doesn't bring me bullshit. I don't have to hear about problems that I don't care about or things that I can do nothing about. Once again, we live in a mutually beneficial marriage where our lives are both better because of each other. And like, once again, if you have a woman that's making your life worse or stressing you out, then she's probably not the one for you. Well, not that there is necessarily one, but like, she's probably not somebody that you want to settle down with if she's going to bring drama into your life. Like, don't ever let women do that kind of shit to you. And like,
It's a waste
even
of
if it's her,
time.
right, and even if it's like her family and stuff like that, if she doesn't like shield you from that shit, that's another thing. Like,
Mm,
keep that shit away from you. Because once again, my wife's family drama, if there ever is any, that shit never comes my way. Like, that's just completely separate, and I'm protected from it. Not because she protects me from it, because she makes a conscious effort to make sure like that shit doesn't come to our doorstep.
right.
When you have women that are bringing drama to your doorstep, like I said, eject next.
Yeah. That's not yeah, it's tough because guys, we like to see things through the end, you know. We're very
Mhm.
commitment we're commitment files, you know. We commit
Yeah.
to things that sometimes don't serve us. Like we'll spend a whole military career getting disrespected and you
Mhm.
know, just work to the bone, and then we'll retire and be like, "Wow, that was great." You know, I did it. You're just like,
Yeah.
"Dude, you were like you have mental issues now. Like
Mhm.
you lost your family, you know, like so as a guy, like again, you have to stop taking yourself for granted. You know, you have to get away from people that take you for granted, that take your time, your energy, your effort for granted. Don't listen to people online, negative people online. Don't listen to broken women online because women they're broken, right? And don't think that they're winning at life, right? Because I've known several girls that do the OF thing too, and it's you don't want like I know sometimes we want to believe that hey, that's normal, like hey, that she's just taking off her clothes, right? But a lot of things have to go wrong in a girl's life for her to get to that point, right? Like it's you know, like you don't want to believe you don't have to believe that a girl who does that is getting money and living a good life, you know, like realize that sex is nothing to women. It's easy. What they want is relationships. And if it's been 10 years, 5 years and they still haven't gotten a relationship, something's wrong. And they're gonna pay, right? And I don't want them to. I don't want any woman to suffer. None, not even one. It doesn't make me
Yeah.
feel good. Like telling women their life's gonna suck doesn't make me feel good. Even no matter how mean they are on Twitter. Sometimes I tell them like, "Hey, you win. You win this argument. I don't care anymore. You're a happy person with a happy life. You're not gonna get anything out of like, you know, just." And they still keep going. And I'm like,
Yeah.
something's really wrong in your life. You know, you have children. You have a husband. Your husband's not ugly. Your husband loves you. And what are you doing here? Like typing away because some guy somewhere is saying, "Hey, women, men, gifts, theory, red pill, blah blah blah." Like that's therapy level stuff, you know. There's nothing there, you need professional help. But anyway, Kyle, closing thoughts for tonight. This was a great conversation. I wish we could keep going, dude, but I got I got plans tonight, but man, it was a great conversation. So closing thoughts for tonight. Life after the red pill. What do you got for the
Yeah.
followers?
Yeah, man. Now I really enjoyed the conversation. I got two shows that I'd love to have you on, so we'll definitely
Okay.
have to set that up sometime. Yeah, life after the red pill is fantastic. I gotta say, you know, as a married dude, I live a good life. My wife is great to me. She makes my life better. Um, you know, I play in a band called A Common Crown. So if you guys are looking for any kind of like alternative metal, hopefully you guys check that out. The show I do on Thursday nights, we just had Rolo on a couple weeks ago.
Oh yeah, that was a good
Uh,
show. It was a really good show,
yeah,
yeah.
thank you. And we had Ryan on, I think, the show before that.
That
So,
was
uh,
a even better show. I like the Ryan one. Don't tell Rolo that though. So
yeah, I thought both those shows were absolutely fantastic shows, and we got some cool guests coming up. But yeah, we're gonna have or I think Phil Labonte from All That Remains on this week. That's gonna be Thursday night at 8:30, and then next week Dave Smith from Part of the Problem. He's been on Joe Rogan a bunch. We're gonna have James Sexton on next month.
oh, that's awesome, dude. James Sexton. That's gonna be
Yes.
great. Yeah.
Yeah, he did my show a while back, and yeah,
Oh,
we've
nice.
been in touch. Yeah, he's a great guy.
I thought you
Um,
only had the what was the one with the other two guys the one like the one you had Ryan and Rolo on.
oh,
Where it's like
Cognitive
yeah,
Vigilance.
I thought that was your only one, and then like not until like 3 days ago I saw that you had like, I followed you, and I'm like, oh, he has like his thing. So yeah, he had some really good guests. I'm like, wow,
Yeah,
nice.
yeah, no,
Yeah,
I stay pretty busy, but
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so there's going to be a lot going on Cognitive Vigilance within the next couple months, and like I said, we'll definitely get you on there as well.
Awesome, man.
Um,
Yeah.
Glenn Lawrence is coming on my show tomorrow night. We're going to talk
Yeah, I
about
saw
some of
that.
this stuff.
I definitely will
Yes.
try to watch that one. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Well, yeah, I appreciate it. And we're probably going to talk about some religion stuff as well because although I may be agnostic, that stuff just fascinates
Oh,
me.
he's a character. He'll make you love.
Yeah.
He's make you love religion, but like he's a biker pastor kind of like personality. You know.
Yeah, he
Pretty
seems
cool
like
guy.
my kind of guy. So I'm
Yeah,
really
yeah.
looking
You
forward to
guys
that
get
one as
along.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Common Crown and Liberty and Health is my podcast I do 2 times a week. I'll probably do a show. I'm obviously doing one tomorrow with Glenn, and then I'll probably do one by myself on Thursday. Cognitive Vigilance Thursday nights at 8:30 and 5 till midnight at 8 p.m. EST. All these are on Eastern Standard Time because I'm in the wonderful state of Pennsylvania. So yeah,
Okay.
that's all I got, man. And like I said, we'll definitely have to set something up again. I really enjoyed this conversation, Duke.
Yeah, man. We'll definitely do a part 2 and all that stuff. Yeah. Yeah. I just thought you were just cool, down to earth. Like I'm trying to. It's tough, right? Because I don't want to do too much engagement media. I don't want to do crazy stuff. I don't want to, but a lot of the guys really like me, and so I'm taking it slow. I don't want to be. I want to slowly step into this at my pace.
Sure.
Um, I'm not here to. I'm just trying to help guys. I have a lot of notes to share. I have a lot of good stories. I always tell people I dated too much. Like I didn't know when to stop, and then at one point I stopped, and I was like, "Oh shit!" Now I can actually step back. And every day I step back more and more, I realize like, "Oh shit!" There was this lesson here that I forgot to talk about and share, and it's helping people. And guys message me like, "Hey, thanks for this, thanks for that." And now I'm like, "Hey, I have to charge now because I have a job and I have a puppy and I have a life, so I have to like charge for my time." But I'm
Yeah.
happy to help you guys, right? And I'm also happy to entertain people on Twitter because it's just funny. I've been tweeting for like 10 years almost. So it's like I'm getting good at getting engagement that way. So, but yeah, man, it's good to talk to people that are like down to earth, like bros being bros, just talking about our experiences. But if we ever
Oh,
met
yeah,
in
man.
person, we wouldn't talk about this stuff. We talk more about music and all that stuff. Yeah,
Oh,
so
dude, absolutely.
but
Yeah,
anyway, yeah,
I'm a big whiskey drinker, so
yeah, go ahead.
it would be probably a lot of shouting, music, and doing shots. That's that's my
Yeah,
swing when I'm hanging
I
out with
love
people.
whiskey. Yeah, I love whiskey, bourbon, old
Nice.
fashioned. I love my old fashions and all that stuff.
My
But
man.
yeah. So yeah, I'll let you know when I have you on again. I'm gonna try to have a guest at least once a week now, to talk about stuff because I think talking with people kind of brings out a better conversation.
Yeah.
Just especially with cool people. So, all right, guys, you guys know where to find us. Kyle, you already told them where to find you. Subscribe to all his stuff, guys. It's really good stuff. Subscribe to his friends. His friends are pretty cool too. And you guys want to find me on Twitter. My link tree is in the chat. Just click on it, follow me on all that stuff too, and we'll get connected. I'm posting stuff on Patreon to help you guys. Game advice, Tinder openers, Hinge openers, essays, short essays, stuff like that. It's $5 a month, guys. If you would like to support me there, YouTube memberships are now open, and yeah, that's all I have. So we'll see you guys another time. Goodbye.